Hello, friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel, MT Zaman's Polity and Governance. So, today we are going to discuss yet another very important topic, and that is about pro tem speaker. From the picture, from the image, you can make out what is going to be today's topic of discussion, right? So, it is about pro tem speaker. It is very small discussion and yet very important from your examination point of view. Otherwise, every citizen must be aware of these basic things. Okay, so these are the two questions that we are going to take up. Okay, so first one is, why is a speaker or pro tem speaker appointed when a new Lok Sabha is constituted, right? And what is his role vis-a-vis the House? So, what is his role in relation to the Lok Sabha, right? So, these are the two important things we are going to discuss. Okay, so these are the aspects you can see here. Who appoints the Speaker pro tem? Okay, so the answer is the President of India. Who is appointed as a Speaker pro tem? That is pro tem Speaker. Do you know the answer? We'll discuss this. Why is the Speaker pro tem appointed? So, what is his role? Why is he appointed, right? Now, it is the President's responsibility as well as President's power to constitute a new Lok Sabha. Okay, so one of the very important responsibilities of the President of India as the head of the Union Executive, head of the Republic, and also as one of the constituent parts of Parliament, right? One of the constituent component of Parliament. It is the President's responsibility under the Constitution to constitute a new Lok Sabha after general elections are held for the Lok Sabha, right? So now recently, general elections to constitute the 18th Lok Sabha were concluded. Conducting elections is the responsibility of the Election Commission of India. Once election results were out and the certified copy of the newly elected members was handed over to the President of India by the Election Commission, then the spotlight shifted on to the President's house, that is Rashtrapati Bhavan. Now, it was the responsibility of the President of India to constitute the new Lok Sabha. Okay, but then you can see here it is also her responsibility under Article 99 of the Constitution to administer oath and affirmation to the newly elected MPs. Now, the Constitution says that before a member takes oath or affirmation, he or she cannot participate in parliamentary proceedings. So, what is the number one step to constitute a new house? That the President of India will have to administer oath of office or affirmation to the newly elected members of the house. Then only the newly elected members will take up their responsibilities as members of parliament formally. Okay, but then we do not have any elected speaker. A speaker would be elected only by the newly elected members of the parliament. Okay, but that can take place only after the individual members of the house, newly constituted house, they take oath. So, administering oath under Article 99 of the Constitution is the responsibility of the President of India. However, it is also mentioned that the President of India may appoint some other person for this purpose who can administer oath or affirmation to the newly elected members of the House. So usually it is not the president who administers oath by himself or herself, but the administration of oath takes place by a person on the president's behalf who is duly appointed by the President of India, right? So this is why the pro tem speaker Pro tem means temporary. A speaker, a person who is appointed as the presiding officer of the house on a temporary basis. So he's appointed, he is not elected, right? So under the Constitution 99, so remember Article 99. So what the article exactly says? Let's look at this. 99 says oath or affirmation by members. So that's the title of the article. Now it says every member of either house of parliament shall, before taking his seat, make and subscribe before the president or some person appointed in that behalf by him or her an oath or affirmation according to the form set out for the purpose in the third schedule. So this is exactly what the Article 99 of the Constitution says. So what is the core element here? The core element is that before every newly elected member of the House takes up their responsibilities as members of parliament formally, they have to first take an oath, okay? And they can elect a speaker from amongst themselves only after they take an oath and they start functioning as members of parliament. So, for the purpose of oath taking, administration of oath, the President of India appoints some other person. It could be done by the President herself also, but it is not easy task. The President of India has been given this liberty under the Constitution itself that he or she can appoint some other person also for this purpose. Okay? So I hope you understood this. Therefore, after a general election to the Lok Sabha, when a new parliament is to be constituted, the first thing that the President of India does is she appoints a speaker pro tem or pro tem speaker who on her behalf would administer oath or affirmation to the newly elected members of Lok Sabha, right? Next point is the person appointed for the purpose by the President is referred to as speaker pro tem, since he or she not only administers oath or affirmation to the individual members of the newly constituted house, but also presides over some sittings of the house until a duly elected speaker takes over. So, while the primary responsibility, primary purpose for appointing a pro tem speaker is to administer oath or affirmation to the members of parliament, but he or she shall also continue until a duly elected speaker takes over. Okay? And in the meantime, certain other formalities can be conducted under the presidentship of the pro tem speaker, right? So the pro tem speaker also functions as a speaker. He not only administers oath, but also conducts certain businesses of the house. But mind you, that a pro tem speaker is not expected to conduct serious businesses of the house. For instance, serious businesses would include introduction of motion, various motions, motion of vote of thanks to the president, motion of no confidence or motion of confidence, or allowing passage of bills through the houses of parliament. So these are serious businesses. These must be left up to the duly elected speaker of the house for a later period. So the pro tem speaker only discharges very simple formal responsibilities from oath taking to continuing on in the office until the duly elected speaker takes over. Yes, in the meantime, he or she can also express condolences in case there is some demise, there are deaths of some previous members of the house, those who had been members of the parliament in the past. So the house may take up such matters to express condolences to the families, etc. And therefore these are not very serious businesses. These can be done under the pro tem speaker's leadership. Right? There is an established convention that the senior-most member of the new house, senior-most in terms of length of time spent in the parliamentary functioning, not in terms of age, right? So, Who is appointed as the pro tem speaker by the president? It is the senior most member of parliament who is newly elected. You know, who is from amongst the newly elected members. He or she could be appointed as the pro tem speaker, right? But there is no hard and fast rule here. At times, not the senior most, but one of the senior most newly elected member of the parliament could be appointed for that purpose by the president. Okay, so such appointments do not follow on party lines. Okay, so the pro tem speaker could belong to any political party. Okay, it must not be necessarily from the ruling party. He could be also an independent MP, independent member of parliament, provided he or she has a greater, length of experience of functioning in the parliamentary business. Okay, so this is an established convention, but such conventions have been bypassed, violated sometimes, right? So this time it was not the senior most, but one of the senior most, Bhartrihari Mahtab from BJP, and not K. Suresh of Congress, who was considered to be the senior most, but the president chose Bhartrihari Mahtab, who belonged to BJP, and he was also one of the senior most members of the parliament. So that happened sometime. It happened earlier also. Sometimes the senior most person may decline such kind of proposal from the president also. So in that case also, the next senior most or one of the senior most could be considered for the purpose. During this short period, the speaker pro tem does not preside over any serious business of the house, such as passage of motion of vote of confidence, bills, etc. Yes, he can in the meantime preside over sittings held for expression of condolences over the demise of some past members of the house. Okay, this is a parliamentary practice that happens in the beginning of every new Lok Sabha. So appointment of a pro tem speaker is a routine matter. It happens whenever a new Lok Sabha is to be constituted, right? And it also happened way back in 1946. 1946, when the Constituent Assembly, to frame the constitution, we had constituted a Constituent Assembly. So Constituent Assembly was constituted in 1946. So before Dr. Rajendra Prasad could be elected, duly elected by the members of the Constituent Assembly as the president, formal president of the Constituent Assembly, it was Dr. Sachidanand Sinha, who was also one of the members of the Constituent Assembly. He was appointed by the Governor General as the interim president of the Constituent Assembly. Interim president of the Constituent Assembly. And he continued in his post as the interim president of the Constituent Assembly only for 3 days. Because the first sitting of the Constituent Assembly was held on 9th December, and on 11th December 1946, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president of the Constituent Assembly, right? So just for 3 days he continued. So it happens. Now, before we wind up for the day, which article of the Constitution allows the President of India to appoint a Speaker pro tem? I hope you remember. This is Article 99 of the Constitution. I'm sure you must have understood the discussion. So thank you guys. Take care of yourself.